the first series, I've started off with my paper, Doctrine of Discovery. And a week or so ago, I presented episode 1 of this paper. Today, I will present the second episode of this paper. As you know, I have stated that revision reflection is about critical analysis, reflections, and thoughts on some historical and contemporary events and issues that have impacted our communities and nations in the past, which influences today and which can impact our future. I'd like to thank Shri Sharvanan Harinandan Singh ji from Holland, who is supporting this video series. In episode 1, I will demonstrate on Doctrine of Discovery, a session on a timeline before the current era to the 21st century. The implementation of the Doctrine of Discovery to exploit people of color by Europeans. Before the Christian era, the Roman Empire took undefended or unoccupied land, which they called terra nullius for the emperor. In the 4th century, the church and the Roman state merged. In the 4th century, the church and the Roman state merged. Emperor Constantine established the orthodoxy of the Christian church in the Roman Empire, and Christianity was decreed the exclusive state religion for the empire in 380 CE. In the Middle Ages, the church acquired vast tracts of land from them. From the 11th to 13th centuries, the church launched crusades in an attempt to control the Holy Land. Lands not occupied by Christians were deemed vacant, that is, terra nullius. The church arbitrated land claims among the Christian monarchs. We therefore, weighing all the singular, the premises with due meditation, and noting that since we had firmly by other letters of our house granted among other things free and ample faculty to the aforesaid King Alfonso to invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens and pagans whatsoever, and other enemies of Christ wheresoever placed, and the kingdoms, dukedoms, principalities, dominions, possessions, and all movable and immovable goods whatsoever held and possessed by them, and to reduce their persons to perpetual slavery, and to apply and appropriate to himself and his successors the kingdoms, dukedoms, counties, principalities, dominions, possessions, and goods, and to convert them to his and their use and profit. This is from the Bull Romanus Pontificus, issued by Pope Nicholas V on January 8, 1455. This statement is very telling and underlies what the European churches, European kings and queens, and European business people have done then onwards to the people of color and their land. In the 15th century, the church provided religious and legal grounds for explorers to seize and occupy foreign lands if there were no Christians present. Papal Bull, Edicts of 1452, 1493, and others come to be known as the Doctrine of Christian Discovery. They authorize Christian monarchies to claim lands not already occupied by Christians and to vanquish, and place in perpetual slavery, servitude, and any heathens, pagans, Saracens, and other non-Christian people. In 1496, King Henry VII, as the head of the Church of England, issued a royal charter to John Cabot to claim on behalf of England lands occupied by heathens and infidels. From the 16th and 18th century, church-based claims to sovereignty by Spain, Portugal, and France became transferable to other Christian monarchies through treaty. Great tracts of land still occupied by Native Americans, but claimed under the Doctrine of Discovery, are carved up through treaty among European powers. In 1783, through the Treaty of Paris between the British Crown and the United States of America, the United States of America is a sovereign government and becomes the successor to the land claims made under the Doctrine of Discovery framework. In 1823, the U.S. Supreme Court incorporated the Doctrine of Discovery into U.S. law in Johnson versus McIntosh. The court relied on the principle that the discovery gave title to lands regardless of possession by Indians. The decision gave Indians a limited right of occupancy, but one that can be forfeited if they cannot prove continuous occupancy. 1845, columnist and editor John Louis Sullivan coined the term manifest destiny, arguing that the United States should annex Texas. This is the first time the term appears in the print, but the notion of the divine rights of the settlers to occupy the continent predates the term. In 1862, the U.S.-Dakota War erupts, an event that left lasting scars here. Sparked by broken treaty promises, the war left hundreds dead, brings about the largest mass execution in USA history. In 1887, Congress passes the Dawes Act to push American Indians assimilation. The act encourages Indians to own their own parcel of land away from the tribe. It prohibits native religious ceremonies and practices. This policy stands for nearly 50 years. In late 19th to mid-20th century, the boarding school era devastates native communities. First established by the missionaries and later by U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs, boarding schools are created to assimilate Native American children into European culture. They break families apart and keep children from learning their languages and culture. Only after schools closed, many reports of physical and sexual child abuse became public. In 1955, the U.S. Supreme Court decision in the T. Hilton Indians versus United States marks a contemporary use of the Doctrine of Discovery. The court rules that because T. Hiltons were in a hunting and fishing stage of civilization, they have only a limited right to occupancy. And therefore, the U.S. is not required to reimburse the T. Hilton for timber harvested from their land. T. Hilton are Tlingit people in Alaska. In 1978, Congress passes the American Indian Religious Freedom Act. It underscores and extends the basic constitutional principle of freedom of religion to Native Americans. Congressional report finds that state federal laws continue to hamper and interfere the Native American religious practice. This picture shows just one example of some of the Native American stolen children raised in boarding schools away from their homes, parents, loved ones, and cultural environments. As you know, Same was repeated in Australia and in several other countries. The act ends a dark era of American history that provided no protection for the children. From 2007 to 2013, resolutions are adopted asserting native rights. In 2007, the UN passes its Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Starting in 2009, a number of religious denominations began passing a resolution repudiating the doctrine of discovery. Today, the Native Americans and all other victims of European colonization and Today, the Native Americans and all other victims of European colonization are still fighting for truth, reconciliation, and reparation for the unprecedented damage that have been inflicted on the people of color and their lands by the Europeans. This picture shows the hurt of just one Native American person. Many millions have been killed. I don't know whether people who survived were the lucky ones or not, or people who have been killed were the lucky ones who didn't have to go through this sort of pain throughout their lives. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about dehumanization, how the people of color were dehumanized, and how this doctrine of dehumanization was used once again to commit genocide against them and take over their land by the Europeans. Until then, it's goodbye from me, Satish Rai. Thank you for watching.